Hey, my name is Zadie and you're watching Flytte Kartina. Today we are going to be talking about dragons. Shout out to Fandango, who gave all of their users early access tickets to go and see How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. I'm pretty sure this is the first movie review of 2019 that I've given so far. In the next few minutes of this video, it's completely non-spoiler, so there are no spoilers involved in this video at all. First half, I'm going to be talking about the rating of How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World and explain that through a couple of series of rating systems. And then on the second half, I'm going to talk about what I liked and did not like about the movie without giving anything away plot-wise or anything that relates to spoiler topics. At the end of this video, I'll conclude by saying whether I would rent, buy, or watch this movie in theaters. Okay, let's take off and do this. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is rated PG. It's rated PG for adventure action and some mild rude humor. This is given to us by the Motion Picture Association of America, who rates all movies in America. So let's break this down into the two parts that it is already broken down into. The first part is adventure action. Adventure action can mean anything, but it usually means that there are like perilous situations that these characters are put through, either emotionally or physically. Most of the time it's physically. Well, if you couldn't tell by the title already, this is about dragons. So dragons fly and humans do not fly, not without a lot of safety precautions. So you can imagine what the adventure action will entail. The second is some mild rude humor, and it's standard for a PG rated movie. So if you equate this to a Disney movie, there's not really a whole ton of language or just allusions to different things. Whereas DreamWorks movies sometimes have more allusions to inappropriate things that will probably fly over kids' heads depending on how they grew up. That's pretty much all I have to tell you guys about it in terms of the actual rating of the movie. Obviously, there will be dragons on the antagonist side who are very scary. They have like horns and very narrow slits for eyes, and they're very scary, and there's a lot of fire involved. I don't think this is a movie that you should be afraid to take your kids to, but you know your children better than I do. The scary dragons that I mentioned are not the main antagonists like the witch in Snow White, or like Ursula, who is another witch but under the sea, and they're both very scary things and they're the main antagonists, so I was scared of them as a child. That's pretty much all I have to warn you about rating wise. I'm gonna pull up the frequency chart, which I will rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how frequent these elements were that I just described to you guys, and it's gonna be pretty low on the scale. I'm gonna say it's about a 3 just because of the dragons and the amount of sequences of adventure action, but that's like just a thing that happens, so it's a 3. Lastly, for this first part of the section, I'm gonna pull out my magical scale of movies, which I rate a movie on a scale of Steamboat Willie to Deadpool on how appropriate this is for younger audiences, and that you can interpret that how you will. But on the magical scale of movies, I'm gonna rate How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World a 3, which is a Tangled. So if you understand the elements in Tangled, you will understand the elements in How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World and how they were displayed and just kind of used in certain ways. Now I'm gonna talk about what I thought about the movie and whether I liked it or not, just my personal thoughts about these things. If you didn't come here for that, too bad. You can leave. Actually, it's possible for you to leave. I'm not making you stay. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is the third installment in the trilogy of the How to Train Your Dragon series, and I will let you guys know that they do finish the trilogy in this movie. You kind of get the sense of that already by the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler, but if it was, sorry. This movie, the plot, it ended nicely. It was well-rounded and connected to all of the other movies, and it actually tied in to the real world at the end, which is something that the other two movies did not do at all. The other two movies made it seem like this was a fictional universe, but the third one, it made it seem like it was actually a place, and you know, you felt like it was real. One thing that kind of just irked me a little bit was the villain of this movie. His name is Grimmel, and once you watch this movie, you will understand that he looks a little weird, kind of like Mother Gothel from Tangled. The more you look at her, the weirder she is, and that's kind of the same way with Grimmel. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. This might be the way that they wanted to make him, but it's just the more that I looked at him, the more I didn't want to look at him. One thing that I do enjoy in movies is character development, and I think since we have the background of the previous two How to Train Your Dragon movies, you just see some nice, well-rounded characters character development throughout all of the characters, not just the main characters of Hiccup, Astrid, and Toothless. But even then, as I'm thinking about it, you don't even need the previous 2 movies to understand what's going on in these characters' heads. It's something that all 3 movies do very nicely, actually. I'm going to talk about pacing, and pacing is very important in movies and really any kind of storytelling. Pacing in this movie, some moments were quicker than others. It wasn't so drawn out, like there wasn't bad pacing moves like in Justice League or Aquaman, where it was just like, oh, what are we doing now? Why was that so quick, or why was that so slow and so long? There was just a couple of moments in this movie where I was just like, I feel like this could have been a little bit faster or slower, but given the context of the entire movie, I understood why the pacing was the way it was, and it still worked for the entire movie. I'm not saying that this was a bad point, it just was something that I noticed in certain aspects of it. That's pretty much all I have to say to you guys. I did enjoy this movie. The colors were beautiful, and the cinematography and the animation was really well done. I enjoyed it. It was a feel-good movie, but in the same way I felt like I was being sucked into another world, which is what it is, so good job, guys. Finally, to wrap this entire video up, I'm gonna end with whether I would buy the movie, rent it, or see it in theaters. And for How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, I would probably see it in theaters, and it's a soft buy. Like, I would buy it, but it's not imperative to my life. There is a draw, but it's not huge. Question of the week for you guys is, are you going to see How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World? If not, why? If so, why? Let me know in the comments down below. I love talking to you guys. It makes me feel like there's a community involved with my channel. If you look down below, there's a subscribe button, a like button, and a bell icon. If you picked all 3 of those, that's great. I highly recommend it. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great Random Thursday, and I will see you on the other side of the screen. Bye!